तस्य सञ्जनयन् हर्षं कुरु वृद्धः पितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चैः शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्.
Causing joy, the elder of the Kuru dynasty, Bhishma, blew the conch loudly like a lion's roar. After Duryodhana praised the principal warriors of his army, especially his chief commander Bhishma, Sanjay continues to describe the events on the battlefield. The grand old man of the Kaurava race, their glorious grand patriarch Bhishma, cheered up Duryodhana, roared loudly like a lion, and blew his conch. Next to Behlika, Bhishma was the oldest member of the Kaurava race. He had the same degree of relationship with both the Kauravas and the Pandavas, as he was the granduncle of both. This made him an object of reverence to both sides, which is why Sanjay called him the grand old man of the Kauravas and their granduncle. Although he was advanced in age, Bhishma excelled even the foremost younger heroes in energy, strength, fitness, and heroism, earning him the description of glorious. The grand old warrior noticed Duryodhana standing near Dronacharya, somewhat startled and anxious at the sight of the Pandav array. Bhishma saw that Duryodhana, despite his anxiety, had been praising the Kaurava army to encourage the fighters and had been urging Drona and the other Maharathis to protect Bhishma. To reassure Duryodhana of his own great prowess, to delight Duryodhana's heart, and to proclaim the commencement of the fight as chief commander, Bhishma roared loudly like a lion and blew his conch with great force.
ततः शङ्खाश्च भैर्यश्च पणवानकगोमुखाः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत्.
Then, conchs, kettle drums, tabors, and horns were all sounded together, and the noise became tumultuous. Then, conches, kettle drums, tabors, drums, and trumpets all at once blared forth, creating a tumultuous noise. When Bhishma roared like a lion and blew his conch, announcing the commencement of the battle, all the regions were filled with hope and encouragement. Suddenly, in all sections of the army, conches, trumpets, and other instruments of martial music, belonging to different commanders, were sounded. The simultaneous sounding of these instruments produced a terrible noise that echoed and re-echoed throughout the entire sky. There is the will of the unknown, and there is the will of the person. There is a conflict between the two. How can a person know what is the will or desire of the unknown? A person is never able to know. If a person leaves himself, erases himself, then he knows immediately, he becomes one with the unknown. A drop cannot know what the ocean is until the drop is lost in the ocean. A person cannot know what the will of God is. As long as a person has made himself a person, he cannot know. If a person loses himself, then only the will of God remains because no desire of the person is left. Then the question of knowing does not arise. Then the person lives the way the unknown makes him live. Then there remains no aspiration of the individual, no desire for results, no tendency of the individual to impose oneself on the aspiration of the whole, because the individual does not remain. As long as the individual exists, it is not possible to know what the unknown wants. And when the individual does not exist, there is no need to know. Whatever happens is caused by the unknown. Then the individual becomes an instrument, a mere means. Krishna explains this to Arjuna throughout the Geeta, that he should surrender himself to the unknown. Because those whom Arjuna thinks will die have already been killed by the unknown. If he saves himself, he will be responsible. If he can fight as a means, as a witness, leaving himself behind, then he has no responsibility. If a person loses himself in the whole, surrenders himself, leaves the ego, then only the will of Brahman comes true. Even now, it is coming true. It is not that we will get a different result. But in getting a different result, we will fight, break, and get destroyed. I have been telling a small story continuously. I have been saying that there is a huge flood in a river and 2 small straws are floating in that river. One straw has got stuck in the river and is trying to stop the flood of the river. And he is shouting loudly that he will not let the river rise, although the river is rising. He is shouting that he will stop it, although he is not able to stop it. He is shouting that he will stop the river in any case, whether he lives or dies. But he is flowing away. The river neither hears his voice nor is aware of his struggle. A small straw. The river has no idea about him. The river does not care. But the straw is very much affected. His life has gotten into big trouble, he is flowing away. If he does not fight, he will reach wherever he wants, even after fighting. But this moment in between, this time in between, will become a time of sorrow, pain, conflict, and worry. Another straw has left itself in his neighborhood. He is not lying across the river, he is lying straight, in the direction in which the river is flowing, and he is thinking that he is helping the river to flow. The river is not even aware of this. He is thinking that he will take the river to the ocean. If it is with him, it will reach there. The river is not even aware of his help. It does not matter to the river, but it matters a lot to those 2 straws. The one who is carrying the river along is in great joy, he is dancing in great happiness, and the one who is fighting with the river is in great pain. His dance is not a dance, it is a nightmare. His dance is the breaking of his limbs. He is in pain, he is losing. And the one who is carrying the river along is winning. A person is never able to do anything except the will of Brahman, but he can fight, he has so much freedom. And by fighting, he can make himself worried, he has so much freedom. There is a saying of Sartare, which is very valuable: humanity is condemned to be free, man is forced to be free, compelled, condemned to be free. But man can make 2 uses of his freedom. He can make his freedom a struggle with the will of Brahman, and then his life will be a life of sorrow, pain, and anguish. And ultimately, defeat will be the result. A person can also make his freedom a surrender to Brahman, then life will be a life of joy, bliss, dance, and song. And the end? In the end, there is no other way except victory. The straw that thinks it is supporting the river is bound to be victorious. There is no way for it to lose. And the one who is stopping the river is bound to lose. There is no way for it to win. The will of Brahman cannot be known, but one can become one with Brahman. Then, one's own will is lost, and only his will remains. In scientific achievement, a person has something of his own. But how the unknown enters into this scientific achievement becomes a matter of concern. It generally seems that in scientific research, a person's own will works. This is what it seems when seen from the surface. It will not seem so when seen from within. If we look at the world's greatest scientists, we will be very surprised. All the world's greatest scientists have had very different experiences. Their experience is not like the concept of science that is created in colleges and universities. Madame Curie has written that a question has been troubling me for days. I try to solve it, but it does not get solved. I am tired, I am troubled, finally I have given up on solving it. And one night at 2 o'clock, I went to sleep leaving the paper incomplete on the table and thought that now I have to leave this question. The person is tired. But when I woke up in the morning, I saw that the question I had left halfway was completed in the morning. No one came into the room, the doors were closed. And there is no possibility that someone could come into the room and solve it, which Madame Curie could not solve. That woman was a Nobel Prize winner. There were only servants in the house, and there was no hope from them. It would be a bigger miracle if servants could come and solve it. But it has been solved. And only half was left, and half is complete. Then she got into a big problem. She looked at all the doors. She could not even believe that God had descended. God had not descended from above like this. But when she looked carefully, she found that the rest of the letters were also hers. Then she started remembering that she woke up in a dream at night. She remembered the dream that she woke up in a dream. She dreamt that she was solving a question. She woke up in the night and solved the question. Then it became her systematic method that when she could not solve a question, she would put it under the pillow and go to sleep. She would wake up at night and solve it. Madame Curie was an individual throughout the day. At night, in sleep, the ego is lost, the drop merges with the ocean. And the question that our conscious mind could not solve, our unconscious mind, which is deeply connected to God, can solve it. Archimedes was trying to solve a question but was in great difficulty. The emperor had said, "Bring it only after solving it." Archimedes' entire reputation depended on solving it, but he got tired. Every day the emperor's message would come asking, "How long will you solve it?" Someone had gifted the emperor a very valuable gold ornament. But the emperor suspected that he had been cheated and that something had been mixed with the gold. But he had to find out whether any other metal had been mixed in it without destroying the ornament. At that time, there was no way to know. And the ornament was big. If something had been put inside it somewhere, then its weight would definitely increase. Archimedes got tired, got worried. Then one morning, he was lying in his tub, lying there. Suddenly, he was naked, and the question was solved. He ran away. "I forgot to put on the cloth because the question was solved." He ran away shouting, "Eureka! Eureka!" to tell the emperor that the question was solved. The story of Archimedes illustrates the mysterious interplay between conscious effort and unconscious insight. Despite all his intense concentration and rational thinking, it was in a moment of relaxation, when his mind was not consciously engaged in the problem, that the solution came to him. This experience reflects how, sometimes, the unconscious mind, deeply connected to a larger universal intelligence, can provide answers that the conscious mind struggles to find. Archimedes discovered the principle of buoyancy while bathing, noticing that the water level in the tub rose as he submerged himself. This insight led him to realize that the volume of water displaced must be equal to the volume of the object submerged, providing a way to measure the density of the crown and determine if it was made of pure gold or mixed with another metal. This spontaneous revelation in a moment of relaxation underscores the importance of allowing the mind to rest and connect with deeper, often unseen, sources of wisdom. The story of Archimedes, like the experiences of other great thinkers and scientists, shows that profound insights often emerge from the unconscious mind. These moments of realization are not purely the result of logical reasoning or deliberate thought processes. Instead, they arise when the conscious mind steps back, allowing the deeper layers of the psyche, connected to the unknown or the universal consciousness, to bring forth the solution. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna advises Arjuna to surrender his ego and act as an instrument of the divine will. This teaching can be extended to the realm of intellectual pursuits, where surrendering personal will and allowing the unknown to work through us can lead to profound discoveries. The conscious mind, with its limitations, may struggle to find answers, but when it aligns with the greater flow of the universe, insights can arise effortlessly. The concept of surrender, as taught in spiritual traditions, is not about giving up effort or abandoning one's responsibilities. Rather, it is about recognizing the limits of personal will and ego and opening oneself to the guidance of a higher intelligence. In both spiritual practice and intellectual pursuits, surrendering to the unknown allows us to transcend our limited perspective and connect with a greater source of wisdom and creativity. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna's initial reluctance to fight stemmed from his attachment to personal desires and relationships. Krishna's teachings urged him to rise above his individual concerns and act in accordance with the cosmic order. Similarly, in the realm of science and creativity, when individuals set aside their personal ego and open themselves to the flow of the unknown, they can achieve remarkable breakthroughs. While surrender is essential, it does not mean abandoning effort. Both effort and surrender must coexist in a delicate balance. In the stories of Archimedes and other great scientists, we see that intense effort and focus were necessary for their discoveries. However, it was in moments of relaxation or surrender, when they were not actively trying to solve the problem, that the final insight emerged. This balance is reflected in the practice of meditation, where effort is required to focus the mind, but true insight often arises when the meditator surrenders the effort and allows the mind to rest in stillness. The conscious mind works hard to gather knowledge and explore possibilities, but it is in surrender that the deeper understanding comes. The stories of Archimedes, Madame Curie, and other great thinkers remind us of the importance of balancing effort with surrender. Whether in scientific research, creative endeavors, or spiritual practice, allowing the unknown to work through us can lead to profound insights and breakthroughs. By aligning ourselves with the greater flow of the universe, we can transcend the limitations of the conscious mind and connect with a deeper source of wisdom. Just as Krishna advised Arjuna to act as an instrument of the divine will, we too can approach our pursuits with humility and openness, trusting that the unknown will guide us to the answers we seek.